It's still hot. This time I made it plain, and you can fill it with whatever you like. The measurements for this recipe are very simple. 2 cups of 200 milliliters of milk. 1 cup of yogurt. Make sure the milk is warm, since the yogurt is usually cold. Then add 1 full tablespoon of salt and 10 grams of baking powder. Now mix everything with the spoon. Here I have 1 kilogram of soft flour. Now, I'll pour in half. Then mix with a spoon. Once this part is well mixed, add more flour. I've added a total of 800 grams of flour. Here I have the remaining 200 grams from the kilogram. Now continue mixing. Since the dough is still sticky, add a bit more flour. Now remove the spoon and knead by hand. Sprinkle flour to prevent it from sticking to your hands. Continue kneading. The dough should remain soft. Don't add all the flour. For kneading, I'll use about 900 grams. Knead for about 3-4 minutes. Add flour gradually to prevent the dough from sticking. It can stick a little, but just press it lightly. After the last sprinkle of flour, I have 110 grams left. As I said, about 900 grams are used for kneading. Now fold all the edges into the center. Flip the dough, pat it down, and let it rest for 10-15 minutes. Sprinkle the table with some flour. Place the dough on the surface and divide it into 8 parts. Shape the dough into balls. Don't knead too long or the dough will harden, making it harder to stretch later. It should remain soft. Now sprinkle the dough balls with some flour and let them rest for about 5 minutes. If the dough hardens, it means you took too long shaping the balls. Let them rest for 10-15 minutes to relax. Take each piece of dough and using flour, stretch it out. Repeat the stretching process with all 8 pieces. Stretch to a diameter of about 25-30 centimeters. If the dough doesn't stretch, it hasn't rested long enough. Let it rest a bit more. I melted 100 grams of butter and poured in 100 milliliters of oil. Now brush each piece of dough with this mixture. After brushing all the pieces, let them rest for 10 minutes. Move the dough pieces as much as possible, as we need the center. Place your fist underneath and stretch the center. Since the dough is soft and puffy, it will stretch easily. Take the closest piece of dough, stretch the center by hand, and place it over this dough, roughly in the center, and stretch the edges over these edges. Now tuck your hands underneath and help stretch everything together. Now spread it out a bit with your hands. Take the fourth piece of dough. Stretch the center by hand and place it on top. If the dough has absorbed all the butter and oil, brush on some more. The fat helps the dough stretch better. I'll brush a bit more on top, especially the edges, as they are thicker, while the center is already thin. Take the edges and stretch everything together. Thin out the edges further by hand. If you've used up the butter and oil, pour a bit more and sprinkle on top. Now fold the edges. If your edges are thicker than mine, feel free to trim them. Now roll everything together in a circle and set aside. Repeat this process with the remaining 4 pieces of dough. Transfer to a tray or baking sheet. Cover with plastic wrap to prevent drying. Let it rest for 30 minutes to an hour, depending on how much time you have. Once the dough has rested, now called pastry, place it on the surface and roll it out with a rolling pin. Have a greased baking sheet ready. Once rolled out, transfer the pastry to the sheet. After rolling out both pastries, beat an egg and brush them. After brushing the second pastry, preheat the oven to 200 degrees Celsius and let the pastries rest. The pastry baked for about 30 minutes, then I let it cool. Listen to how crispy it is.